You can store all of your customers and vendors inside of Service 365, as well as your contacts, so individual people at those customers and vendors. And if you onboard to Service 365, we can import these for you before you start using the system. So we get the data out of your old system or from spreadsheets, whatever it is you're using, and we can import all of your customers and vendors into Service 365. If you're using QuickBooks Online as your accounting system, we can also map those customers and vendors between Service 365 and QuickBooks Online and link them up so that you can push sales invoices and supplier invoices across seamlessly between the two systems. So if we go into our customers here, and we have some basic details about the customers. So this is where we can add new ones, we can search existing ones, see job history, etc. And we can go and see some basic details as we go into the customer. We can also pull out all these details in a report as well. So we have a customers report that can show us all of our customers in great detail. So as we go into the customer, we have some basic contact details, all the stuff you would normally expect. We can set the account manager from our existing employee list, the tax, the payment terms. So any job cut to this customer, they will be on net 30 payment terms. Now, of course, we can change that on individual jobs, but by default, it will be set to whatever we have here in the customer details. If we go into the history, we can see all the jobs, all the quotes, all the contact we've ever had with this customer. We can see their addresses, so very common for a customer to have multiple sites, so usually one central billing address and then multiple sites. So here you can see we have head office, which would probably be the billing address, and then the Danforth, which is one of their sites where we might do some work. So within the customer, there's various other things you can do. You can set attributes, so we've covered attributes in a couple of videos, which are custom fields that you can add throughout the system. You can upload files and notes, so if you have specific files, specific notes that need to go in against this customer, you can do that. Maybe it's site plans or photos or whatever it happens to be, you can put in there. Within the rates tab is where you can actually set unique charge out rates per customer. So you can see here that typically I charge $65 an hour for a service technician. Let's say this customer is on some special deal where they get a reduction. So we'll knock it down to 60 and then save. And then it's going to highlight it in yellow to show me that the rate for that service tech for this customer is different to the global rate. So if we do a job for this customer and a service tech puts his time onto that job, it'll charge it out at $60 an hour rather than 65. So within here, you have quite a lot of detail. You also have the typical summary fields with some financial data. Again, you would use the reports to get this data in more depth. You can also customize the invoice settings for each customer. You can add new contacts, so individual people at that customer. So a whole bunch of data there. And as I say, we can import this into Service 365 ahead of time. If I go into my vendors, and let's just pull up this vendor here, Gary Electric. So again, similar thing, I can see all the typical data that I would expect, the contact details, the payment terms. So payment terms for a vendor relates to every time we cut a PO to that vendor. So every time we purchase from that vendor, these are the default payment terms that will go on the PO. And in terms of history, I can see every purchase order that I ever did for that vendor. As well as some of the same fields that we saw within the customer, so the files and notes, the attributes, and the individual contacts and all that kind of data. So that's how you can store customers and vendors inside of Service 365.